In the middle of a violent storm, Caleb Brooks stopped his truck the moment he saw it. A car crushed beyond recognition, smoke rising, and a woman barely clinging to life. No witnesses, no help. Just a single father risking everything to save a stranger who would soon turn his entire world upside down. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching? The storm had already swallowed half the sky when Caleb Brooks pulled his rusted truck onto the empty highway. Wipers dragged across the windshield like they were fighting for their lives, much like Caleb himself. A single father, exhausted, broke, and running on whatever hope he had left. He whispered to the only thing that kept him going, a tiny voice message from his 8-year-old son Liam, "Daddy, come home safe." Caleb smiled, tightened his grip on the wheel, and then the world shifted. A twisted shine of metal appeared on the road ahead. A car crushed, smoke rising, headlights flickering like dying fireflies. Caleb slammed the brakes, the storm roared, his heart froze. Inside the shattered vehicle was a woman, unconscious, bleeding, breathing only because fate hadn't given up on her yet. Caleb looked around. No other cars, no sirens, no help coming. Just him, a father with nothing to give, except the courage to save a stranger. But he had no idea that pulling her from that wreck wouldn't just change her life. It would rewrite his. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching? Caleb carried the woman through the rain like she weighed nothing, though every muscle in his body burned from the effort. His boots sank into the muddy ground with each step, thunder cracking above him as if the sky itself disapproved of what he was doing. But turning back wasn't an option. Not for him. Not tonight. Inside his small cabin, the air smelled of old wood and engine oil. He laid the woman gently on the couch, her breath shallow, her skin ice-cold from the storm. A small lamp flickered to life, revealing her face, sharp features, expensive jewelry, a watch worth more than his entire monthly income. She didn't belong to his world, not even close. Caleb cleaned a cut on her forehead with shaking hands, whispering calming words she couldn't hear. "You're gonna be all right, just hold on." He wrapped a blanket around her, tossed another log into his stove, then stepped back, struggling to process what had just happened. Who was she? What was she doing alone on that empty road? And why, despite everything, did he feel this strange pull, like fate had placed her right in his path? Hours passed, rain softened, the storm calmed. Caleb sat in a chair across from her, half asleep, watching her chest rise and fall. Then she moved. Her eyes opened wide, confused, guarded. She shot up, clutching the blanket, scanning the tiny cabin like a trapped animal. "Where am I?" she whispered, voice hoarse. Caleb stood slowly, hands raised so she wouldn't panic. "You were in a car crash. I pulled you out. Roads were blocked. I couldn't get you to a hospital." She stared at him, suspicion in her eyes, then something colder, sharper. "Did you touch anything? My phone, my bag?" Caleb blinked, taken aback. "Ma'am, I was trying to save your life." Silence heavy, uncomfortable. She looked around at his worn-down home, at the cracked walls, at the little photo of Caleb and Liam taped above the stove. And for a moment, her guard dropped barely. But it did. "You saved me," she said quietly, as if the words tasted strange. Caleb nodded. Anyone would have. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. And so did she. For a long moment, the cabin felt like it was holding its breath. The woman pressed her fingers to her temples, trying to piece together fragments of memory, flashes of headlights, spinning metal, and then nothing. Caleb watched her quietly, unsure whether to give her space or offer help. Finally, she looked up at him, her voice steadier now. "What's your name?" "Caleb Brooks," he replied. "And you?" She hesitated, as if revealing her name was an unnecessary vulnerability. "Aria," she said at last. "Aria Langford." The name meant nothing to Caleb, but if he had a window into the world she came from, he would have recognized it instantly. Billion-dollar headlines, corporate power. A woman feared, followed, and photographed, but here, soaking wet, wrapped in his old blanket, she looked nothing like the legend the world knew. Caleb poured her a glass of water. "Sip slowly. You hit your head pretty hard." Aria took it, their fingers brushing for half a second. A tiny spark ran through her. Confusion, caution, something she didn't want to name. She pulled her hand back quickly. "Why did you stop?" she asked. "When you saw the car?" Caleb shrugged lightly. "Because someone was inside." That simple. That simple. Arya studied him, his worn boots, calloused hands, the fatigue in his eyes. She could tell he wasn't lying. He wasn't the type who calculated costs before doing what was right. The kind of man she hadn't met in a long time. Before she could speak again, a small sound echoed through the cabin. A chirp, then another. Arya looked around sharply. Caleb reached into his pocket and pulled out a tiny old phone, cracked screen barely holding on. A voicemail from Liam. He stepped away to listen, but Arya still caught the soft, warm child's voice. "Daddy, I left you some cookies. Don't forget to smile today. I love you." Caleb's expression softened in a way she had never seen on the stern faces in her world. He replayed the message once more, quietly, lovingly. Arya lowered her gaze, something tightened in her chest, a feeling she didn't welcome. "You have a child," she said softly. Caleb nodded. "Yeah, Liam. Where is he? With a neighbor tonight. I didn't want him driving with me in this weather." For the first time, since she'd opened her eyes, Arya felt something shifting, an invisible thread forming between their two worlds. Fragile, but real. She exhaled slowly. "Caleb, thank you for not leaving me out there." He gave a small smile. "You're safe now. That's what matters." But neither of them knew how untrue that was, because the storm outside was nothing compared to the one heading their way. The storm had passed, but the tension inside the cabin hadn't. Arya tried to sit up fully, wincing as a sharp pain shot down her side. Caleb stepped forward instinctively, but she held up a hand. "I'm fine," she said, though her voice betrayed the truth. "You're not," Caleb replied gently. "You should rest. When the road's clear, I'll take you to the hospital." "No," she said quickly. Too quickly. Caleb paused. "No?" Arya looked away, jaw tightening. She had spent years training herself not to show fear, not to let anyone see the cracks beneath her perfectly constructed armor. But tonight, injured, stranded, and stripped of her power, fear leaked through the edges. "My phone," she whispered. "I need it." "It was smashed in the crash," Caleb said. "I couldn't get it to turn on." Arya closed her eyes, a wave of dread washing over her. That phone wasn't just a phone. It held information, sensitive information. And if someone intercepted it... She didn't want to finish the thought. Caleb noticed her breathing quicken. "Arya, were you in some kind of trouble?" She opened her eyes, meeting his. The sharpness was back, but underneath it, panic. "Trouble finds people like me," she said quietly, "whether they want it or not." Before Caleb could ask more, something outside made them both freeze, a crunching sound in the gravel. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Caleb moved to the window and peered through the rain-streaked glass. Darkness, trees, nothing else. Arya's voice trembled just slightly. "Is someone out there?" "I don't know," he whispered. He grabbed the old flashlight from the shelf and stepped outside, despite Arya's protest. The cold air slapped him instantly. He swept the light across the yard, mud, broken branches, the outline of the forest. Nothing seemed unusual, until he spotted it. Fresh tire tracks, not from his truck. Wider, deeper, recent. He followed them with the flashlight, but they vanished into the woods as if whoever had been there didn't want to be found. When he returned inside, Arya was sitting upright, gripping the blanket with white knuckles. "Caleb, I need to tell you something." He closed the door behind him, locking it. "I'm listening." Arya swallowed hard. "Someone might have been following me before the crash. Someone who doesn't want me alive." Caleb's heart lurched. "Why would—" She cut him off. "Because I was on my way to expose something. Something big, something people would kill to keep buried." Caleb stared at her. This woman who had crashed into his life less than a day ago, now shaking, vulnerable, and hiding secrets bigger than he could have imagined. "Arya," he said softly, "whatever you're running from, you're not facing it alone anymore." But as the wind whispered against the cabin walls, both of them sensed the truth neither wanted to say out loud. The danger wasn't coming. It had already arrived.